What's up, bud?
Hey, bud, how you doing?
It's Jacob Trimble, ladies and gentlemen. What's up,
Good
bud?
evening. Just over here, just reading a couple books, trying to expand my mind on the universe we live in.
hmm What are you reading?
Right now, I'm reading "Why We Dream" by Alice Robe. Pretty good. So, the first chapter talks about like why we forget our dreams, and I feel like that's the biggest part of like a dream, and I think that's important to like, especially when you're done dreaming, that you write it down if you remember it.
hmm
And I mean, this is what she speaks about. She speaks about like we forget our dreams, but our dreams are really just what lies in our self-conscious.
Is it the
And I mean,
self-conscious or the subconscious?
subconscious, sorry.
Subconscious. No worries.
But she basically speaks about just so basically one of the best examples I can give is it relates to religion. Buddha's mother was Queen, I think Maya, and she had a dream about an elephant, and that's how she saw an elephant as a symbol of peace, and she was able to relate that and basically induce a religion for the whole group of people that believe in Buddhism. And every I feel like every culture has their interpretation of dreams. The Christians obviously have their interpretation of dreams. So, what's your opinion?
So I do agree with that. Dreams are a work of the subconscious. I took a dreaming and sleeping. Was it sleeping and dreaming class? Something like that. But the one of the theories behind that was they talked about how the dreams are an opportunity for your subconscious to express its emotions that it has been repressing throughout the waking cycle. So, if you're working 9 to 5, pouring all of your time into, sitting on the computer, taking care of daily tasks, and you get home and taking care of dinner and stuff like that, just essential life living stuff, right? If you don't give yourself a lot of time to sit down and be with yourself and like kind of check into like how your emotions are feeling, that's usually an opportunity for the dreams to kind of bring that about. So if you pay attention to your dreams, you'll see that there are some sort of themes to them. Sometimes there's not, so that sometimes there are. Um, and a good practice is to try and connect. Okay, try and connect the dream to what was happening the day before you slept. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, like what is going on within my waking cycle that my dreams are telling me about? You know, that's and that kind of ties back to what I was talking earlier with like the the book just talked about how it's like an opportunity for the emotions that have been repressed during the waking cycle to exercise themselves, which I thought was really cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
Did she
yeah, I
talk about
think
that at all?
I've only gotten to chapter two to be honest, so we're still we're still pressing forward.
So
I
early.
try to be pretty slow when I read books like this because I want to completely understand it. And I mean, every word has a meaning
Mm,
in its own way. So I don't dwell on every word, obviously, but I want to understand what that word means and what that sentence means. And
right.
I want to be able to take this book and interpret it for like me and to help others, obviously.
Mm,
Because I mean, I feel like just me being on this podcast, we're talking about dreams. It's going to get other people thinking like, what do I dream about? And when
exactly.
you really start thinking about what you dream about, you start thinking about like what's like you said, what's going on in my life right now. It's caused me to have these dreams.
hmm
And I mean, I can see like there's a whole chapter on nightmares, and nightmares. I mean, that's a deep thing. She she got into it a little bit in the beginning. It's more of like a repressed thing, which is my nightmares are more of your repressed memories that you try to keep away, but they're still there.
hmm
And always when you're sleeping, you can't always control what comes up in your mind. So
No, you can't. You definitely cannot. I mean, if you're in a lucid dream, then yeah, you can kind of engage a little bit more with your dream state. But overall, like on average, like your general dream is not going to be something that you're like, you know what, I want this to happen. That's not going to happen. Yeah, you're right.
We've often everybody's had the way I like to relate lucid dreaming for people for me to understand is the way I understood it is basically like Inception. That's
Inception.
that's been that's been the best example for me
Hmm.
trying to understand lucid dreaming because in the movie obviously he's able to control everything that happens, but there's a certain part of the world that he can't control. If you recall, Leonardo DiCaprio, by the way.
Right. I know that he has his own building with like captured memories that he wants to hold to like go back and visit every now and then, right? And
Right.
one of those memories are the ones that he can't control when she jumps off of the building, right? Even though that's still something that's very horrific to him, like a nightmare, like you're talking about, it's still something he hasn't dealt with, which is weird, right? It's like through his self guilt of like he feels like he could have done something about it. You know, if he just wouldn't have brought her into this inceptual world to where she wouldn't have lost touch with reality, then she may not have killed herself. So it's like he keeps replaying that guilt because the guilt is a way for him to connect with her now. Does that make sense?
It does.
Is that what you were talking
It's,
about a little bit?
yeah, it's just he has. I get what you're saying. So he has like a memory full of banks, which what in that reference of his memory full of banks is basically what we should use a dream journal for.
Hmm.
That's what that's what I reference it to. So I mean, it's pretty cool to understand where your dreams come from. I mean, there's a million different websites I've learned. You can type anything in on Google and get a result. So I wouldn't believe every word you say, but I feel like if you find the right website and you find the right person, you can type anything in and just a single word on the dream websites and it'll tell you like what that means. Like it may not mean that to you, but in a general reference,
Yeah,
if you get what I'm saying, like
I do. Some yeah, and I kind of it all depends on who's writing it too, like what their perception of or like what their interpretation of dreams are to them. So if they're sharing that, that may or may not connect with you. Like, you know, sometimes I've had dreams where I've researched online. It's like, okay, what does a butterfly in my dream mean? You know, and there's thousands of interpretations of, oh, a butterfly indicates peace in like your future life, or a butterfly indicates change is happening right now. You know, stuff like that. But that all depends on like who is writing that, and it's very interesting, like how we use like Google as a search engine for our own inner truth. Because when you're searching for something online, like usually you're typing it in a question that's biased, right?
right,
So it's something that you're just trying to like kind of self validate. So when you're looking for interpretations of, like, for example, like the butterfly, it's like, okay, the butterfly exemplifies change in your life. And maybe a part of me, it's like, nah, I don't think that's true. You know, like I'm not even being open to all these other things. I'm just looking for something that would fit right with me. Like I want the butterfly to mean it's as if like I'm looking online and I'm waiting for something to pop up that is words to like how I'm feeling. Does that make sense?
right, right.
Yeah. What are you looking up?
Oh, I was just looking at the news. I saw something pop up interesting.
Talk
We're
to
good.
me. What's new?
Well, I was just reading about the whole Hertz situation.
Hmm.
I don't know if anybody knows, but Hertz filed bankruptcy, so they're one of the many major companies that have filed bankruptcy during this COVID-19 episode. And right now, I mean, they're speculating that they're by them pulling out and filing bankruptcy and having to sell I believe it's 133,000 of their 455,000 cars, which is worldwide, which is a
Jesus.
stupendous number.
Yeah.
Um, that it's going to hurt Ford because they're going to flood the used car market, and so they have a contract with Ford and
Oh shit.
GM.
That's crazy to think
Yeah,
about.
so it's just a tumbling effect, and once these companies start losing money, everybody looks towards the banks, and it the way I see it is just 2008 all over again. It may not start the housing, but it's got to start somewhere. Just because like of, we're in the same place we was in 2008. The government's pumping money in,
Inflation's
trying to hold.
happening. Right.
Exactly, we're a bubble about to pop,
Mm-hmm.
and it's rising. I mean, the stock markets are rising, but they're also falling just as hard as they're rising.
Yeah, it's because they're rising at a like it's such a their rise is temporary because like you said, their government's just pumping in money to support what's happening. But eventually the money that's been pumped in that was not in the circulation of the economy beforehand, it's gonna eventually level out and it's gonna be imbalanced, like you're talking
Mhm.
about. Yeah.
And I mean, there's nothing backing up the money that the government's putting in. There's no way we have $6 trillion in gold or
No, just hanging
coal or
around.
anything.
No, fuck no. Yeah.
So I don't,
Even if we do, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't expend it right now for this
you know.
situation.
So I mean, everybody's looking towards the big banks right now because that's who controls all the money, and the big banks aren't going to give you money because they got to make their money back so they can pay their bills at the end of the month.
Yeah. One thing that kind of
So
got me a little bit nervous about this government small business loan was the fact that the government is providing, so it's a federal loan. So therefore, the small businesses that were once like privately owned or publicly owned are now being owned federally because it's a federal loan. So now the government is in control in terms of like the finances for that small business. So that they that was like an opportunity for them if you want to go like the conspiracy theorist route. That's an opportunity for them to like get their hands on all the small businesses because now they monetarily control them. Because like, hey, if you don't pay us back, like we're gonna own your business federally.
right, it's
Essentially, like it's like the federal government is a big bank right now itself in terms of small businesses because they pumped out all that money for the loans.
Federal Reserve. Yeah, so basically, the way I understand is we're pumping more money out than we can handle, and we're just—it's like a air mattress. I don't know if you've ever slept on an air mattress.
Mm-hmm.
It, it's always leaking, but if you constantly have that pump on, it's going to put air into it.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, that pump's going to give out, and you're just going to fall flat. That's the way I look at the economy right now.
So how would we?
We're just blowing up this air mattress. It may pop. It may,
Right.
and once it pops, then
So
people are going to
how would
look.
we ensure like we don't need to continue to pump it in? Like don't need to continue to pump air into our mattress and it'll just inflate by itself. What's going to balance it out? What's going to fix the leaks?
You gotta let a couple. You gotta let a few businesses fail. I
Hmm.
know it sucks to say people are going to lose jobs, but you gotta let a few of these big companies fail. And I think the government's trying to save everybody with like one hand. They got one hand. They got 15 people holding on in their hand,
Hmm.
trying to pull them up the side of a cliff. I think you just gotta let a couple of them fall.
That's tough
Just
natural
so
selection right there, huh?
it is. It's natural selection for the economy, but
Yeah.
so, you've noticed like once. Um, I mean, there's been several examples. I can't think of one right now. I'm sure you could, but several examples where companies fail and another company zoomed right in.
Hmm.
Um,
So one thing that I can think about is just like competing companies. So for example, Lyft. Like once Uber came out with their shit, Lyft was like, all right, let's hop on the ball. Let's compete with these
right.
guys. And now Lyft is way more popular than Uber.
I mean,
They
they
have
can compete
much,
price wise.
yeah, they compete price wise. Like the quality of it's a little bit better too. Like in terms of like, you're not paying so much for Lyft rides as opposed to Uber rides. That's been my experience out here in Phoenix.
Oh
Like from
yeah,
the
for
same
sure.
exact spot from Phoenix. We were in downtown Phoenix trying to go back to Tempe. It's probably like maybe a 22-minute drive. Uber was like fucking $40, and it was maybe 10:30 at night, so not even like prime time, right? What do they call that? Surging hours.
Yeah.
It wasn't really like a surging hour. And then Lyft, the same thing, was like $20, like $19-20, and I was like, oh yeah, that kind of sells the ticket for me for Lyft. It's like, I'm going to take Lyft for sure. When we're price effective, it's getting the same thing done. Why wouldn't I do that? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I can't think of any
Another.
other companies that like have competed and one's fallen and another one's uprise out of that.
Well, I mean, there's a couple. There's
Hmm.
um, obviously
I'm pretty sure there's
like
people listening right now like, come on, you fucking idiots. Like, it's this one.
like Nokia. Obviously, we can go back in time real quick,
Early
back to the
2000s.
early. Yeah, Nokia was the king of the cell phone business, and then
Yeah.
we had companies like Motorola. I mean, Motorola was already around, but
Singular.
we can Singular.
Yeah.
We had companies like, I mean, even Apple and Samsung.
Yeah.
Samsung was a Nokia company. So like when these names started rolling in, Nokia just kind of like wandered off the cliff, you know.
Hmm.
So I
Virgin
think it's
Mobile
just
tried to
like,
save their phone business with like going airlines. Remember Virgin Airlines?
well, they aren't they? Oh yeah,
Virgin Mobile and
I
Virgin
think that
Airlines. I'm pretty
I
sure it
think
was the
that's
same
why
thing, right?
they. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the same company.
Yeah. Or maybe they
Um,
started out with airlines and tried the phone business and it didn't work. I don't know which one came first, but
yeah, I think they got bought out by Sprint,
Hmm.
if I'm not mistaken.
But yeah, that's a good
What do you
point.
think about
Yeah.
What do you think about Disney
What about Disney?
buying everything up? They're buying all these
Yeah.
studios.
Yeah. Buying Lucasfilm, that was interesting. They really, so my perception of that was it's just another form of income for them because then they can control all of Star Wars essentially, which is a huge commodity, especially for like adding those like those parts of the park for like experience for like amusement park rides and floods of people coming in. I don't know if they had Star Wars beforehand because it was like a
Uh,
Lucasfilm thing, but they may have had like maybe small items that they may have had some cooperation with Lucasfilm. Like, hey, can we sell some of your products here? See how it goes.
I want
Lucasfilm's
to
like, all
say
right,
the
cool.
Clone Wars and stuff was on Cartoon Network, if I recall, when I was younger. I don't remember
Yeah,
seeing
yeah. There
anything
was a
on
Star.
Disney.
Yeah, there was a Star Wars. Star Wars: The Clone Wars. I remember that. It was an animation. I can't remember what type of animation it was, but I remember
I want
watching it. It
to.
was a really cool show. But yeah, they're definitely did well with buying in terms of like financial as a smart move. But you also saw that the CEO stepped down after after the coronavirus hit. Did you see that? As well
I
as AT
did.
and T guy too. AT&T CEO stepped down as well. All these a lot of big guys stepped down, dude, and they got fat ass paychecks. The guy at AT&T,
Oh
he's
yeah.
getting like fucking what was it? I think it was something of like $30 million a
Well,
year
I doubt he
for the rest
wanted
of
to
his
step
life.
down.
You think so?
Well, I
That's a
mean,
solid paycheck, man. I mean,
yeah, he's not really doing anything either, really. I just think, yeah, like I'd do that if
what do you
he
think
asked me
about
to
Disney
step.
buying everything?
I mean, I think it could become a monopoly at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I think, well, I mean, you still got Warner Bros. And all them hanging there, but I mean, you think everything you see is almost Disney now. Marvel, you got Universal, which aren't they at Disney too?
Universal.
Isn't it Universal Studios? Isn't that by Disney World or Disneyland?
I think it's its
I
own
want to say.
studio, isn't it?
I want to say. Well, what about Harry Potter though?
I don't really know too much about like those theme parks.
Well, what I'm saying is like, if you ever go to like the Disney store or anything, you'll see Harry Potter stuff, right?
Hmm. Maybe
Maybe.
I don't shop that much Disney, but
Yeah, obviously.
yeah.
Um,
So let's talk about stocks. Let's talk about buying options.
Let's get there.
Let's let's get there.
Options are awful sometimes. I've had my ups and downs.
Yeah. Share with people. What's your
Okay.
experience been like?
So I started out with the American Airlines option back about June 3rd or 4th. So that was when American announced that they're going to start flying again soon. Everybody was getting excited. The feds were pumping money. Viruses were going down. And people were ready to fly again. And that was on a Wednesday, I believe. That was my first option. I think I put about $12 in on it. I put it in about 2 in the afternoon. So
you bought
it
a
hit
call.
right before. Bought a call.
So you wanted the stock to go up. Correct.
Yes, sir. So I think at the time it was sitting about $13. And I put in a call. I read on it for about 3 hours while I was at work. So I put in a call for 16. And the next day, because it was going up during the day. So I thought, American Airlines, they've been going up for a couple weeks now. So I put in the call, and the next morning I woke up and I was up about $150
on just one stock option.
One stock option off about $12. I didn't understand why. That was the crazy part until I actually did research, and there's a whole equation that goes into it. But
yeah, so share with people how like stock options work. People who are listening.
So basically, what a stock option is instead of buying the stock at the full share price, you can buy it at a lower price. And say there's say the stock is $25. There's different calls, which a call is kind of like a bet. So you're saying by this point, okay, let's go back. So there's an expiration date, there's contracts. And with every contract, you're buying 100 shares of this company. And so it's not going to be the price of the stock per se, but every contract expires on a Friday. So no matter when, a contract can expire on a Friday. So you can buy this Friday, or you can buy a Friday in July or something, or September or January. But say you want to say this stock's $25, and you put in a call, which is a call is saying it's going to go be this price by this time, or you lose your money. So the good thing is it'll never go negative. But say there's a strike price, which is the price that you're going to pay for each share. Remember, there's 100 shares in this contract, and the strike price is going to be a lot lower usually, depending on like how many people are buying it at the time. So the strike price may be like 37 cents per share. So you'll take that 37 and multiply it by 100, that 37 cents by 100, which is going to end up being $37. So you put $37 of equity into this company, and by the time you have this equity in, the strike price is really what you want to watch. So the strike price, say it jumps up, I don't know, to 40 cents, you've made $3 already. So once you get above what you've put the call in at, say you wanted it at 25, you put in a call for 27 for 2 weeks from now. It hits 27. Typically, it's for every penny, it's usually $1. And there's a break-even point. Your break-even point is usually where you've made your money back plus more.
Right.
So you're making money as long as that strike price goes up from what you bought it from.
Yeah.
And your break-even is typically going to be when you make all your money back.
The money that you put up at front for a debit.
Yes.
The money that it costs to buy that stock option, right? And the cool thing about options is that you have a call and you have a put. So compared to buying regular stocks, when you're hoping that the stock, where you will only make money when the stock goes up, if you buy a put with options, you can also make money with the stock going down. So just like what Trimble was talking about, you buy it at 25, you hope it gets up to 27, you would make money. With a put option, You buy it at 25, you hope it gets down to 23, and then you make money. So ideally, with options, there's the most secure route to go in terms of consistent income is to find a balance between two strike prices that you want to have. So if you start out with like, say like, all right, I want 23 and 29. These are the two strike prices that I'm going to stay in between until the expiration date happens. Now, as long as I maintain that balance between the two, net neutrality, then I will consistently make money. As opposed to if you want to do directional trading, you focus on, okay, call or put, not both. Right?
Yeah, you're gonna like I was saying, you're gonna spend more money the farther you go out because there's more of a likely chance for it to hit that.
Mm.
So that's what I like. I understand like it's cheaper to buy for this Friday, but like my new rule is I try to buy at least 2 weeks to a month out.
Well,
It
that's
costs
not,
more.
yeah, that's not in like almost, I've found cases, what I've learned, it's like the cases of like, if you're buying one for this Friday, it's going to be more expensive because you have more opportunity to be right, which is similar to like buying one 3 months out because you have more opportunity to be right because the volatility
Right.
of the market can't determine if it's going to hit that price or not. So therefore, it's more likely to hit that price in the future as well as the one for this Friday. So like you're
And
finding your middle ground. It's like 30 days in, like 30 days before the expiration date.
right. I usually I've been trying to do about 30 to 45. It's a
Yeah.
little more money, but maybe you can just look at the because earning reports probably come out in late July, early August for most companies,
Mm-hmm.
and it's getting that time frame. So once these companies start releasing their earnings report, you can judge it by how it's doing right now and what the news is right now and what you think the news is going to be,
Now, why
and
is
you
the
can
news
judge. I mean,
important?
so the news. I don't know if you've noticed, but like anytime someone says something negative about a company or positive about a company, if you watch their stock will either rise or fall. It may not be dramatic, but it'll be a rise or fall. So another example is they put out an article about Nikola, which is the new Tesla, which they're building electric semi trucks, and they already have a contract with, I believe it's Anheuser Busch for these electric trucks to start transporting their beer. So that was an example. Tesla didn't fall. I wouldn't say Tesla has never really failed, but Tesla stock took a little dip, and Nikola took a rise from about $30 a share to about $80 a share in the span of a few
Holy
days.
shit.
Yeah, so
That's insane.
everybody everybody was talking about them for a while, and I think once the hype actually kicked in, once they got their own stock, it finally kicked in that people were like, "This is a serious company," and but they're not projected to have their own to be to have be in the black in profit till like 2022,
What
which
does the
isn't
being
bad.
in the black mean? What does that mean?
So being in the red is obviously bad. That's like you have more debt than you do income
Hmm.
per year, but they're not projected to make profit until 2022. Which I mean, that's understandable being a new company in a rare field, and they're actually succeeding. So because most companies can anybody like not anybody, but anybody can put out a what are they called like a prototype.
Yeah.
Anybody can put out a prototype, but they've actually achieved something. They've gotten people to sign. They've been to these shows. They've got trucks that work. So they beat Tesla on the variety, and I think where they're beating Tesla right now is that they're serving a different part of America. They're serving the commercial industry right now. Tesla's more of the, I guess, the residential side. I could say they're serving more of your normal people while they're trying to build semi trucks and I guess I guess forklifts. I don't know, but I think they have a prototype for a four wheeler, for an electric four wheeler. So
Mm.
It's not like one of the Barbie Jeep ones or anything. We're talking a real 4-wheeler here. So,
Something that's actually gonna do some shit.
yeah.
No. See, that's an interesting thought, but I didn't think about that. Like how they're targeting commercial, where Tesla's actually targeting more the individual. Because one of the big selling points for Tesla when they were coming out was the fact that they were creating affordable electric cars. Right? They weren't making it super expensive. Because I remember when I first heard about Tesla, I was like, "Oh yeah, their new cars are coming out. They're going to be like $30,000." And I was like, "Holy shit, that's pretty cool." You're going to get this new piece of technology that they're really trying to get the common person to be a part of. And now Nikola's going for commercial, like industrial shipping. That's pretty sick. And
It is.
that's huge, because that's consistent income, 100%, as long as those businesses stay afloat.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't see Anheuser-Busch going anywhere anytime soon.
So which one is Anheuser-Busch?
They own, I think, Budweiser and Bud Light and all them.
Yeah, probably not.
They're big.
I had that thought the other day of like how beer has just always been around. And it's like, I don't think beer is ever going to go away.
No way.
You know?
Yeah, I was just thinking about the other day. I was like, there is one company that can basically controls all the beer. I don't remember if you remember us talking about it back about a year and a half ago. I forget the name of the company. It's AB Bev. That's who it is.
Hmm.
So they control, like, literally. They have at one point they have such a monopoly on alcohol that I guess the Federal Trade Commission stepped in and they had to sell like a couple wineries just to satisfy them because they had such a monopoly on it.
So they literally had some sort of percentage of profit from every single alcohol sale that was going on.
Hmm.
Holy shit. How did they do that?
Just acquiring companies.
Hmm.
Because they're out of, I think, Ontario, out of Canada.
And they were doing that with American beer and wine?
All the alcohol.
Holy shit.
So they own mostly beer and wine. Constellation brand is the big liquor one.
Consolation. Isn't that with Spanish, with like Cruz Campo and stuff?
Probably.
Yeah. I remember seeing that. Or like Consolation.
We got to explain what
San
Cruz
Miguel.
Campo is to our
Yeah. Oh
friends
yeah.
here.
Cruz Campo is a Spanish domestic beer. So if you're in Spain, that's the domestic that you're buying. It's literally like
About
the Bud Light of America.
I wouldn't even compare it to Bud Light.
Well, in terms of like its commonality, yeah. But in terms of
Quality, though.
quality, no, completely different. Cruz Campo it's such a beautiful beer, man. It truly is.
Yeah. About, I think it's like a 40 ounce was $1.
Yeah, in the glass bottle too.
Quality.
Yeah.
Quality.
The cute, what would we call it? The Cruz Campo missile, something like that.
The torpedo.
The torpedo.
I was just thinking the other day, like, how's Spain doing?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I know they had a serious outbreak over there.
Yeah, they did.
So
A lot of the foreign nations have been out of the news. I mean, also like I can't speak to anything. I've been off of Instagram and Facebook for like now, like just about like 2 weeks now. Like I'll mindfully use the apps, and then I just like delete them and get off of them. If it's like to like promote the podcast, or if it's like, I've found a picture I took and I just like wanted to post it or something like that, or check out, see what my friends are doing. If that, but I'm not involved in like the constant news stuff. I got overwhelmed by it. I just had way too much anxiety with it, dude. I was like, dude, this is too much.
oh yeah,
Way too much shit going on at the same time.
it's just too much going on in the
Yeah.
world. I mean, I know, like, so people say there wasn't this much going on in the world before, but I know there was. There was this exact same stuff. Not the exact same stuff, but stuff was still happening
Yeah.
40
Like
years
the
ago.
load of everything. I mean, obviously
It's
the
just,
context is different, but
yeah, more people are just seeing it now. And
mm,
it's such like our brains can only handle so much at one time. And we're just like, I get notifications on my phone for the news from about 4 different news channels. I don't know how to turn it off, so I just leave it. But it's a little overwhelming sometimes because I look down and I got about 4 news articles and I try to read all of them if it makes sense to me.
do you feel compelled to read them? Like it's like I should probably read this.
Yeah, because like I feel like, oh, if I don't read this, then I'm not hip with the world. Then the world is above me and it's beating me. Which I know it's not true because like I could go away for like probably a week and I could come back and the world would still be the same.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing about detoxifying social media. It's like things are still moving, you know? And the cool thing that I've liked about getting off of social media, it's the feeling of, I think it's more like the awareness of where I'm putting my energy towards. So it's so easy. Taking a swig. It's so easy for me to get lost in Instagram and Facebook and just throw a bunch of energy into that. And like the screen time, I allowed the screen time for my settings to see like how much of my time was being devoted towards my phone. And there were some days I got before when I was like really bad with it. There were some days where I was like averaging like 5 hours a day just on Instagram and Facebook. And I was
It's
like,
true. It does. It tells you that at the end of the week.
yeah, it adds up. And I was like, dude, this is ridiculous. I cannot believe I'm devoting so much of my energy towards this. What am I getting out of
What
it? Absolutely
what,
nothing.
make,
It's
what
just
makes me the
mindfully
most mad
scrolling.
now?
Yeah.
What makes me the most mad now is you go out to these bars or restaurants or wherever you decide to go, and you see all these people just sitting around the table on their phone.
Yeah.
I'm just like, why did you come outside? Why don't you just stay in your house? Like,
They want to
so
be
we
like,
usually,
mm, go ahead.
if I'm out and about, I try to keep my phone like it's in my pocket. If someone's trying to contact me, I'm going to contact them back, but I'm not going to go scrolling through TikTok or Facebook or Instagram
While I'm
while
out
I'm
with
out.
friends. Yeah.
Yeah, what would be the purpose of going out with friends? Like I'm there to socialize with them, not the rest of the world, which I do. Like I enjoy,
Hmm.
but like there's times like if I'm sitting on the couch, I'll send a few text messages, call the family or something.
Hmm.
But I try to keep it limited. I mean, I prefer like reading a book almost over looking at the news now.
That's something that I've found benefit with too of reading. I it just it gives me a different like feeling. I feel way more mindful after I'm done reading, as opposed to like being on the news or being on Instagram or Facebook. It's like I feel refreshed after I like read into a book for like 30, 45 minutes. You know, it's like that muscle is getting exercised. I feel a little bit more competent. I feel a little bit more aware. I feel like gave I got like a reward out of my time that I gave towards the book, towards like reading, you know? How do you feel?
I just feel like I don't know, like when I read, I just feel like I can if I'm really into the book, which I get it everything I read, I try to get into. I give it a chance. I want to live in that like world of the book, you know. So I turn my phone on do not disturb or whatever it is, and I just devote all my time at that moment to the book to try to put myself in the author's shoes. I want to feel like I'm sitting there where the author was sitting, writing the book and thinking what they were thinking when they was writing the book.
That's
I want to
beautiful.
feel like all their emotions. So
Yeah.
it's that's really how I see books, even if it's nonfiction, fiction, a documentary, even documentaries on like HBO or Hulu or whatever. Like I try to get into it so I can
Hmm.
understand where this person, like what they were feeling at that moment, because that's the whole point of a documentary is to show you how to connect with this person and how they were feeling at that moment and why the documentary is made. Because if you just like glance at a documentary, you're not going to understand anything. But if you dedicate your time watching this documentary, reading your book, you're going to connect to it, and it's going to have more meaning.
Hmm.
And that's the whole purpose of reading or watching TV. And I think people are just like, I think we're like 10-second people is what I call us. We got about 10-second attention span sometimes
Hmm.
because there's so much going on in the world coming at us that we can't there's so much going on, but there's not really as much going on. It's just that we allow so much to go on in our mind, in the
True.
world.
Like it's like scrolling through Twitter. You know, you read a feed, kind of just blankly scroll over it. Sometimes there's ones that are like connect with you. You're like, oh shit, like, okay, I want to examine this a little bit more. Right. But once you feel like you get like the superficial information, you're just like, all right, like I'm done.
I'm that way of TikTok. So like before
Keep talking,
bed every
bud.
night, it'll be about 7:30. I'll lay down for work to go to work, and I'll say I'm gonna watch one TikTok video, and it's about, I don't know, I'll wake up about 8, or I'll get back up at 8. I'll look up, it'll be 8 o'clock, and there I am. 30 minutes later, probably scrolled through about 1,000 videos. But yeah, just the attention span of people is gone nowadays. Just, I don't know, it's just people.
So what were you talking about? Cheers, bro.
So basically, I was talking about the attention span of people.
Right, 10-second people. Damn.
Oh,
Highland. Yeah, I got Highland Queen Majesty, Highland Single Malt Scotch Whiskey.
I got some
aged 12
brown
years.
sugar bourbon from Eugene, Oregon.
Have you ever? There's this really good one that me, Rob, and Jesse found at this place called Social Hall. What is it called? Something Eagle. But it's a very rare whiskey, but it tastes super smooth. You remember Di Serono? Yeah, like it's like that smooth. It's not the same taste, but in terms of like how it doesn't have a kick, but it has like a smoky flavor to it. It's really sweet, man. I don't think it's War Eagle. I'll try and find it real quick. You know, it's a high school mascot.
I just I just think like, get away, dog.
Tell people about Coco. Eagle Rare. There it is. Eagle Rare. This is beautiful.
Is it red?
There's one. Yeah, it's like kind of like a auburn color. Eagle Rare.
Probably about, how long was it ago? About 7 months ago, I adopted Coco. 6-7 months. Probably about. It's almost been a year now.
It's a bourbon whiskey. Yeah, and she has 3 legs, right?
She does. She's a Basenji Beagle mix. She'll be 2 in, I believe, August.
And she's a sweetheart, huh?
Oh yeah, she's a baby. She's just a little stubborn sometimes.
Yeah, with what?
She's got a lot of hound in her or something.
Are hounds notoriously stubborn?
Yeah, she loves to like fetch, but only if she feels like it. She's trained.
She kind of has like a cat personality.
She can sit. Yeah, she'll sit. She'll like walk, but if she don't feel like doing it that day, she's not going to do it. Like walking, some days she's the best dog to walk, and she'll like walk right along you. Some days she pulls you like, I mean, she's only like 40 pounds, so she's not going to pull me very far. But still, like, some days it's easy, and other days it's just, she's just pulling you across the yard.
She has a very inconsistent personality.
Yeah, I guess she's bipolar or something. But she's a sweetheart. She's I think I let her get away with a lot more just because she has 3 legs.
You pity her a little bit?
A little bit. I'm not going to fuss at her.
We'll call it love. We'll call it love.
I do. Like, I get on to her. I've more lately because, like, she hasn't gotten destructive, but I can see the tendencies, like me being more laxed and her getting more, like, seeing that and taking advantage of it. So I let her know, like, hey, don't do this, don't do that, don't eat the chargers. There's only a few things I asked. Don't eat chargers. So
Do you talk to her just
Like,
like you're talking to me right now? Hey, Coco, like just don't eat the chargers,
hey,
okay?
yeah,
I
it's all
could
you
see
gotta do.
that.
Just show them what it is and say no. I feel like it's a pretty simple concept. That's why I don't understand when people get rid of dogs or cats. Like they're pretty
Yeah.
easy to talk to. You just say no and point at whatever you don't want them to do.
Yeah, they I think they feel a lot more than people think that they can. I recently came across this concept where cats and us are not really any different in terms of our experiences because we're still all here on earth, right? We're still all experiencing something, right? You and I are having a human
Uh,
experience right now. My cats are having a
they're
cat experience. She's having a dog experience. You know, there's this theory it's like souls are just out and about, right? And we all just go through different cycles of it's kind of like reincarnation in a way, but I don't believe it's like the same soul goes to another one. There's just a concept of like souls having different experiences throughout the universe. And so the soul inhabited a cat and now it's having a cat experience. A soul inhabited a human and now it's having a human experience, you know? And one of the like a cool thought that Peter Crone, he's a therapist. He does like high value clients. I didn't understand how much this guy was charging. I was like, how is this dude having living this lifestyle as a therapist? So he only works with clients of high caliber in terms of like social status. I and some
hmm,
of his classes, but some of his classes for like a month was like 30 grand.
how do you
Excuse you.
ooh, how do you advertise for that?
I don't know.
Like do you like only
How do
rich
you
people at
yeah.
my psychological place.
Yeah. It's like yeah, anyway, so he talked about how um one of like this is a really cool way to like kind of look at life. He talked about how it's our job here is to transcend our like our humanness in a way. Things like in terms of like anxiety, negative emotion, or like not negative emotions, but just trying to transcend ourselves in terms of to like reach enlightenment to where we're like just at peace with ourselves. You know, like that's the focus. And I agree with that. A part of me does agree with that because it feels so much better to be a human that's at peace than to be a human who is inside like this, inside their own head, or constantly in anxiety, constantly being nervous about what's going on, fearing the future, you know, reliving the past. It's just, it's so much better to just sit here at peace, you know? It's a big pause
I
right there,
just
bud.
I was just trying to get the dog to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Just sit down. But yeah, humans are just I don't know. I've always thought humans are weird, even though I'm a human. Humans are like they're so complex, and people just think we're just a brain and a heart, but I think the brain is obviously the most complicated part of us. It's cool because we have these things that we can portray our emotions in so many ways. Like mine, I feel like is if I'm trying to communicate something through a text message, I struggle sometimes because I don't like texting. I mean, I like texting like to get a point across, but like I'm not gonna text my heart and feelings out because I don't feel like I can get it across the right way I want it to. Because you got all these if you use all caps, I've learned, and people think you're screaming, and I'm really bad for that because I'll just like put one capital letter and it was like sounds like well might as well leave it, and then they think you're yelling at them. So I feel like the best way for me to communicate is in person or FaceTime or via telephone call because I feel like that's the best way for me to get the point across because I have hand motions, face gestures, and like I'm able to get my point across just by like facial gestures because I'm like I express my emotions like even though I don't want to sometimes like it expresses over my face like someone could look at me and be like hey what's wrong like do you not agree with what I'm saying? I'm like what do you mean? They're like your face. I'm like, oh well but everybody like I can look you can look at people I can look at people and be like oh there's something wrong with that person
Right.
So
I think a
it's
big
just
teller is the eyes with how someone is feeling.
yeah, I've noticed that lately. Like just understanding how people think, just and how to read them. It's just like
Yeah,
if someone's eyes are like droopy and they just look down, you're like, oh
yeah.
man. So
See, there's a I've experienced the difference between like sympathizing with somebody and empathizing with somebody. So it's like you see someone who may be looking like that they're down, right?
mhm.
And so I see what you're doing. And so it may look like that they're down, right? But until you experience what it's like to be down, it's it can be a little bit difficult to really empathize with how they feel, right?
So explain sympathize and empathize for me.
So sympathizing is when you can cognitively understand where somebody's coming from. You know, it's like if you and I had different childhood experiences, right? And I was sharing with you like, oh, I went through this experience one time and it yielded this reaction or this behavior, right? And you're like, oh, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but I've never felt that, so I can't empathize with you. You can sympathize with me, but you can't empathize, right?
So sympathize is like not feeling sorry, but like showing emotion to you and telling you like I love you, I guess.
Sympathizing is more just like understanding where, like cognitively understanding where somebody's coming from rather than emotionally. Empathize is as if like you and I have emotionally felt the same thing. Like you and I have both felt the same emotion of what it feels like to be broken up with. So
Right.
because you've understood that and I understand that, it's like, oh, but I can emotionally connect with you on that. I know what that feels like from my experience. So that's that's empathizing with somebody. And you ever heard like the term empaths? Could be deemed empaths. These are people who live out of their emotions, right?
Yes, I
Yeah.
know those
So
people.
empath, both of the prefixes there, empathy, empaths, empathetic. So if you're able to empathize with somebody, that means you're able to share the same emotions with them. If you're able to sympathize with somebody, you can just understand cognitively what they're going through.
Is empath like an empath person? Is it like a disorder? Do they consider a disorder in the psychological community?
Mm, no, I think empath is more of like just like a cultural thing, something people like kind of come up with. I don't know where its
I feel
origin
like
is from.
I feel like Spanish are really empath,
Yeah,
or
they're
not
also they're
empath.
also like very metrosexual, so they're not really.
Yeah, I really didn't know what that term meant. I knew what it meant, but I didn't understand. Like, I never saw it in person. Being from Kentucky, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay,
share with people what your hometown's like, bud, and your
so
growing up hometown experience, because this is what. But I love you, man. And like when we first started riding together in Spain, and you were telling me about like your upbringing and some experience, like the experience that you had with your dad's truck, and you were like driving it, and the fucking transmission shot out the bottom. You
I
told
think
me
that
about
was
that
my
story when we first rode
whose
together.
car.
We were going
I
around
think that was
CO Circle. Do you remember that?
yeah, that was
Yeah,
my mom's, or that was like our spare car is what they called it.
dude, I was crying laughing.
So basically, what happened is I was learning to drive a manual, and I finally got the hang of it. So I took her out on the town. Being a young 17-year-old, I thought I'd go to the movies. Went to the movies with a girl. Got on Highway 27, which is the big main road in my town. There's about 20 stoplights, but it's the only main highway really.
Hmm.
We got a couple others that run across, but
How many?
this is
What's
the
the
main highway.
population? What's the population in your hometown?
If you're counting the county and the city, it's probably about 80,000.
Hmm.
So it's not like Hogstown where there's about 30 people in there.
Yeah.
Um, but but yeah, so it's about 60, 70,000, I'd say right
Hmm.
now. There's a lakes down, so people leave. But so
Yeah. So
basically, I was driving down the
yeah.
highway, and I went to shift. I stopped at the stoplight, and I went to take off, put it in the first gear, and I just felt like a large yank. I thought I stalled out, and I looked at the dash, and there were so many lights that you could have. I don't know. It looked like a Christmas tree. So put her back in neutral, and I don't know. I just heard like I think it was just like the transmission case was finally giving out, and the bolts just dropped, and it just fell on the road. And I was in the middle lane. It was 6 o'clock at night. People are honking. I'm out there trying to figure out where the hazards are for transmission in the middle of the highway. So yeah, that was one experience I had. Also, another experience with a car I have is my first truck was a Ford F-250 that my dad gave to me, and I decided that I wanted to be like all the other truck guys at school and have a loud truck. So I went to AutoZone and bought this. It's called a glass pack. So you put it between the catalytic converter, and the rest of the exhaust, and you cut out the main muffler that comes with the truck.
Hmm.
You know, like the little round oval thing.
Right.
Pull it down. It's welded in there originally. So I went and I didn't know how to weld. So I bought a couple clamps that you just like, almost like duct clamps. Like you ever installed duct, like piping for like AC or anything?
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Like the
about.
clamps
Yeah.
and you tighten the screws on. So
Yeah, those things are
I
strong.
got not strong enough, but we'll get to that. So I put them on there. I tighten the screws, and I'm driving for probably about a week. I go home. I feel cool. I'm like, "Hey, Dad, check this out." I didn't tell him that I clamped it on. He's like, "Okay, where's the actual muffler?" I was like, "Oh, it's in the back of the truck." He's like, "Okay, I gave it to you. You pay for it. It's yours." But so I was driving down the road one day, and like basically what happened is I didn't tighten it enough, and it rattled it loose, and everything from it was cut off behind the cab going back, so everything from behind the cab fell off down the highway.
Oh my
So
god.
it got really loud in the cab. I was like, "What in the world?" Of course, I'm just cruising. I'm like, "What's going on here?" I was like, I don't know what I thought. I thought the radio got louder or something. I was like, this is a weird song. I pull over to the side of the road, and it's just so I look back on the road, and there's just like, so the glass pack is red, so I just see like a red piece in the road, and I'm like, "Oh no, that's my exhaust." So I took it in, and I finally spent like the $15, and I got it welded. But
It was
I
only
remember
15 bucks.
yeah, like I just took it to some shop, and I was like, "Hey, I just need spot welding here and here."
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I used to mow in the summers. Um, really only had like 3 jobs, and 2 of them were real. Worked at Wendy's for 3.5 years,
Two of them are real. Wendy's.
and at Wendy's for 3.5 years as a young 16-year-old. Had many memories there. Had a man jump through the window at me, actually.
Wait, what? You didn't tell me that.
Yeah. Oh, I've never told you this story. It's the best story. I was sitting at the
Holy
Wendy's
shit.
drive-through. Um, the back window, first window you pull up to. So I'm sitting there. You're supposed to. They tell you to always shut the window and make sure it locks every time. So I didn't do this one time, and some guy, his girlfriend was working inside.
Oh shit.
I wasn't messing with her or anything, but apparently he wanted the guy who was there was a guy working that was. So I guess he thought instead of going through the front, he'd go through the window at his opportune time. And like I just turned around to get like to check on the buns or something. I don't know. To wipe something down. And I come back and the guy's like I turn around, just like I don't know, it's like I just turned around 1 second to check on the buns, and I turn around again, there's a guy like crawling through the window. So I didn't know what to do, so I just hit him.
What? No, you did.
I
What
just
the
like
fuck?
I don't know why it was my first instinct, just like, oh, there's a man coming in the window, better hit him. It wasn't like I knocked him out or anything. I think it just like shocked him and he ran away. But I walked over to my boss, old Bert.
Oh,
I'm sure
Bert.
I can tell you guys about Bert. Bert's the general manager of the Wendy's there. He's a good man.
It's Trimble's second dad.
He ended up teaching me
Basically.
about stocks and everything I know. So I owe it to him while I'm in the market now. But anyway, so I went to him, and he's he's a real awkward feller. And he's like, "Oh, hey, Jack." That's how he talks, And he's like, "Oh, Jack, what are you doing?" I'm like, "The guy jumped through the window." He's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, he tried to come through the window, and I hit him." He's like, "Oh, Jack, you can't do that." I was like, "What? He came through." Actually, at first, I didn't say he came through the window. I was like, "Oh, Bird, I hit a man." He's like, "Why are you hitting people, Jack?" Another windy
He
story.
just sounded like he doesn't give a shit. He's just like, oh, you
I
can't
mean,
do
that was
that.
he. So, like I told you, so he was. Let me try to think of how old he's been there since he's 16, and he's like 45 now. So do the math. He's been there 30 years.
That's
This man's
insane,
worked at
man.
Wendy's
At the
for
same
30
one,
years.
at the same
Same one,
location.
just
Jesus.
burgers for life, baby. I remember my first day at Wendy's. It was on a Saturday afternoon. I was a young 16-year-old. They put me on the grill, which the grill is a press. So you grab the patties, you put them on the grill. They're fresh, and you pull down, and it's like a clamshell. It shuts on it. It's got a timer. It pops up. You move the burgers over to another grill. It's not as hot as the one grill, and you let them sit there. So I didn't understand that. I didn't understand supply and demand at the time. So, so they just told me to cook burgers. So I kept cooking burgers till the thing was full. I was like, where do I put the rest of these burgers? Like, what's going on here? Like, why aren't you guys serving more people? Like, I ain't slacking. So that's when I really learned about supply and demand, I think, because obviously, like, you can't just sit around all day making burgers.
Just wasting fucking food. Yeah.
God, keep throwing them out. So
Did you guys
then,
throw a lot
like,
of food out?
we did. I had a bad tendency to give it to the raccoons by the dumpster, the raccoon mafia. They was bad. They started out with one, and by the end, there was about 10.
Oh my
So I was afraid I
goodness.
was gonna get. I was like, I better take food to them, or they're gonna jump me and eat me. They Wendy's is a growing experience because that's my first job, really.
Yeah.
Really, the only other job I've ever had. I learned a lot there. There's some interesting characters that work there.
Yeah.
You'd have people
You're
that.
one of them, bud.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was employee of the month a million times. They still got a picture of me on the wall there. I don't know why, but
I remember seeing that post on Facebook of you and your Wendy's get up, like first day at work.
that was my first day.
But you're so tiny.
I was a young baby.
Yeah.
Didn't understand life.
Still trying to figure it
probably,
out.
Oh yeah, I
We
have
all
no
are.
idea where I'm going.
I have
I
no idea what I'm
remember.
doing.
I remember when they first started having me doing maintenance, and I don't know. It was just awful because I didn't understand what I was supposed to do, and they just like kind of threw me into it. Like my first day, they're like, "Oh, actually." So the night before, they call me. They're like, "Oh, our maintenance guy quit. We need you to do maintenance." I'm like, "What's maintenance?" Like, you just come in early and clean stuff. I'm like, "I can do that." They're like, "Oh, you got to take apart stuff too." I'm like, "Oh, I can take apart stuff, but I can't put it together." So my first day there, I spent about an hour trying to figure out the fryer. But they used to call me muscle buns there
Muscle
because, like,
buns.
it's stupid. So we used to have to put away the truck in the freezer. And those boxes, like the fry boxes, are about 40 pounds each. And you have to move them in the freezer. And I just be squatting all day, just doing squats for about the first 3 hours of the day, lifting my buns because then my butt got big and they called me muscle buns. So I learned a lot of Wendy's. I learned how to interact with people.
Yeah.
I think that's where I really learned that I liked interacting with people. Because at first, like, I was like, oh, I don't ever want to work the front cashier. And then I grew to love it. Like, I probably had about 10 or 15 compliments called in from just random people being like, oh, that one little guy, Jacob, he's good.
That's
Just because, like,
awesome, bud.
You just gotta go the extra mile sometimes.
Yeah.
It's all the time. If you go the extra mile, like if you're the better person of any conflict of anything, like it doesn't have to be conflict, but if someone comes in and like says, this burger is shit, they throw it at you or something, you're like, oh, I'm sorry, like here's another burger, like here, let us make up to you. They're gonna think about that, gonna be like, man, I was a real ass in there.
Yeah.
It makes them the bad guy.
Yeah.
You become the bad guy when you start arguing back.
100%, because you play the game. You know, if somebody's frustrated and they're being frustrated towards you, they're going to expect frustration in return. And when they don't get that frustration in return, that allows them to really view their own behavior. Because like, oh shit, like, okay, obviously he wasn't frustrated as me, so I was probably the one that was like in the wrong right there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I never understood why people got mad over a cheeseburger. I was like,
Yeah.
hey, just
It's okay,
go to
man.
Red Robin or something. Chili's is down the road. It's a little better.
I was
I'll
really, I
never
was really,
hate.
yeah, I was really excited that you, me, and Bowman went to go to Wendy's when you came here to AZ. When we went to Sedona.
I still have a goal of owning a Wendy's.
Yeah, we talked about doing that Chick-fil-A thing. How come we didn't go through with that? Your brother was going to fund it, wasn't he?
He's going to help us with it.
Yeah.
So they ended up opening one in my hometown.
God damn
Probably
it,
about
dude.
like,
We
yep.
fucking had Bud. Shit.
So me and my one friend now, we're talking about opening a Crunch in a small town in Texas. Not a small town, where Texas State is. So let's talk about opening
Are they just as inexpensive to open up?
I think they are. I think they're about 15,000 for the franchising fee and stuff. So it works the same way as Chick-fil-A. So you pay the initial franchising fee, and then they pay for the building and stuff. But you still have to have a little bit of assets
Right.
to own any franchise. So that's why I'm building in these stocks right now.
Oh, so you have to have some sort of like real estate or something.
Well, you just have to have a little bit of a net worth, I think.
Just in case like shit falls through, they can take some more from you, essentially.
That's the way corporations work.
Yeah.
Sadly, open to
what a like position of power to be in. You know, it's like not only
hey,
do
we're
you
gonna
not,
let you.
yeah, not only do you want to be in my business. Yeah. Not only do you want to be in my business, but if you don't have enough to be in my business, I'm going to take more money from you. Like, what a bully.
Have you been watching the car market any?
So
the car market's pretty crazy right now, actually, because I was recently looking into buying a truck, and the prices are down on all the cars right now.
Which is just like, I wonder if Hertz is going to like flood, like you're talking about.
Hertz has their own car dealerships too. And
yeah,
the
so they're going to like flood it
good.
into the used market. So therefore, like the supply and demand is going to be minimal, or like it's going to be less than what it used to be. So therefore, like
supplies can be crazy.
Yeah, so the price are going to be lower. Yeah,
130,000 cars. That's crazy. Ain't 130,000 people looking to buy a car right now. There's 20 million people out of work right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
that's fucking nuts to think about. Jesus.
Stimulus checks, though.
Everybody's still getting paid. Yeah.
They're still getting paid, but we're running out of money to pay them.
Yeah.
The CARE Act's about to run up. I always thought, what's his name? Was it Roosevelt or Hoover that did the thing where he put Americans to work? So basically, he was like the Tennessee Valley Authority. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. I'm sure you did in history class. So basically, what they did is they're like, okay, we'll give you a house, washer and dryer and all this stuff, but you're gonna have to work for us. It's not slavery, but basically they're giving you a place to live. They'll give you a little bit more of a bonus, but you're gonna have to work. It's like now when you get free housing and stuff, they offer free housing. They're giving it to you for free. Back then, you had to work for it. It was like in exchange. So like they build highways, they build like railroads. So there's an exchange. So now that's what I thought we should have done. Like put these people to work on the highways or something. Like let's get something out of this. Like all this $6 trillion package.
That's a good point, bud. Yeah. I didn't even think about that as like an opportunity to like rebuild city streets or
Yeah,
rebuild or like,
infrastructure.
yeah. Can you imagine like all the graffiti and stuff that are in areas that need to be taken care of? Put people
Oh
to
yeah,
work to paint
especially
some
like
shit.
highways. I don't know if it's bad as AZ, but down here in Texas,
Dude,
like
Texas is fucking awful.
it's a mess.
It's a
I feel
mess,
like
dude.
there's roads I drive down with these semis, and it's just like I'm like I'm scared to pass you because I might get stuck between you and the wall.
Yeah. It's way too close to the
I feel like
actual
I'm driving
flow of
at Daytona
traffic.
500.
And then once you get, so my experience was in Dallas, dude. Like Dallas has such terrible roads. Like everywhere I'm going, there's potholes, there's uneven surfaces, there's tree roots growing out of the ground. Like there's not a lot of flat places to like drive through. And there's constant construction going on in Dallas as well.
I
It's
know.
it's pretty crazy.
Actually, Houston wasn't that bad. I can't complain about Houston because every time I've been to Houston, like they built up. That's what they've done. So Houston has a bunch of those like loop-de-loop bridges and stuff. I don't know what you call them, skyways or
Loop-de-loop bridges.
I don't know what to call
Oh,
them.
I get what
So
you're
if
saying. I know
you're
like
driving,
overpasses.
yeah, that's what they're called, not loop-de-loop bridges. But
But they're
yeah,
loop de loop because they turn around the highway, give you an opportunity to like kick back
yeah,
around. Yeah.
they've built up instead of like trying to build out.
Hmm.
So I think that's where it's going is up. That's not where we go or down. We just
Like
say
what
what
Elon's doing
Elon's.
in LA. Yeah.
Elon's about to move to Austin. Actually, he's in the bid right now
In the bid. Like
because
what
of
do you
the
mean?
tax situation to move its factory to Austin,
Hmm.
Texas. So Texas,
Where's his main factory at right now?
I think it's in LA,
Oh shit, really?
California.
Dude, I wouldn't blame
Yeah.
him. It's super expensive over there.
Oh
Especially like
yeah.
corporation tax, dude.
I
Oh,
can't imagine like what they charge. They're
dude, my buddy Rob, he went to an internship in San Francisco for I think he's taking his master's degree for like construction management or something. I'm probably misquoting that. Anyways, people out there are making like 120, $160,000 a year being engineer, right? And they're getting taxed like 20%.
what?
It's ridiculous, dude. Like 20%. So they're probably pulling in like $80,000. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I'll look that up real quick. I'm pretty sure California has like a 20%. I think it's like occupation tax or something like that.
That's not even worth it. I'll just be homeless.
Let's
Live
see.
in a box. Your garbage is supposed to ever make weird noises.
Yeah, and also stinks. I need to be better at not putting food down there.
That's not what it's for. I mean, you're not supposed to put a whole roast beef down there or anything, but
Well, yeah, no shit. But like small little pieces go
yeah.
through. Yeah.
Well, you're supposed to clean it out like every year. So I'm not
Dude,
interested in
I
doing
want to
that.
figure out how to. I have not decided to dedicate time to like figuring out how to clean that out, but I can only imagine it's going to be like a wave shaker bottle that's been closed for months in the heat. You know what I mean? You open it up.
You ever just put oh man, those are the worst when you like have those surprise things you open up, you're like, oh no.
I've had that with Tupperware. Dude, I'm so bad with Tupperware. I'll leave it in the fridge and like the food will get in there and get moldy. I'm just like, all right, I'll just throw away the Tupperware. I choose not to fucking take care of it. But
I found a
I need to be
bag of
better at
beef jerky in my backpack for work the other day.
that.
It was green. I was like,
What?
beef jerky. But
How did,
I guess I forgot about it.
God damn.
It was
Okay, so the income tax, I was a little over the board. Income tax is between 1 to 13.3%. Sales tax is 7.25 to 10.50. Property tax is 0.77 average. Then gas tax. This is a new thing. Gas tax.
What?
62.5 cents per gallon of regular gasoline. 87.
How much?
62 cents. That's ridiculous. That's so expensive. 87.21 cents per gallon of diesel. So you're getting charged per gallon that you're putting into your tank 60 cents or 80 cents.
Is that why
On
gas
top
so
of the
high
regular
there?
gas. Yeah. I mean, that's to make money off of taxes. Like, that's really fucking smart to do it. But 60 cents, man, 60 cents on the dollar is being of your money has been given back to the government for the state per gallon.
Is it per gallon or per dollar? Per gallon?
Per gallon of regular gasoline or diesel. It's
That's
expensive,
nuts.
dude. It's fucking expensive. Alrighty, Budro. I think we've done good.
I think we talked a lot.
I think we did talk a lot. I think this is a very mellow podcast. So whoever's listening to this all the way through, they're probably in the same mood of just, just going to put something on in the background, just chill out. Yeah. But it was good doing this with you, Budro. I appreciate it.
I'm always here, Boudreaux. You give me a call, I'll answer.
That's what I love about our friendship. We should really move closer to each other. I think that'd be awesome.
I'm working on it.
Yeah. You gotta get out the
Couple
Navi
years.
first. Yeah.
Oos Navi.
All right, Budro. I love you, son.
Right. Love you too, bud.
Later.